Hello, hello, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. It is Monday. Happy Monday to you. I would like to start off with a question. So, the first question is, do you do classroom jobs for every student? So, thumbs up if you do them for every student. Thumbs down emoji if you do not do classroom jobs for every student. So again, that question is, type in the comments A, thumbs up if you do classroom jobs for every one of your students, or thumbs down if you don't. Hello, Karen. Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. Glad you're here. Awesome. So we've got one thumbs up. I have been doing jobs for every student for quite some time now. But when I very first started, when I was teaching first grade, there was obviously a lot more students, and so I didn't do that. I just did one job. I think we had a boy and a girl that both had a job. Anyway, I then tried out the jobs for every student, and I just fell in love with it. So I really love it, and I'm super excited to share it with you today. So if you're just joining me, if you will please give a thumbs up if you have ever done jobs for every child in your classroom, or a thumbs down if you have not. Karen says, I've never done them but want to incorporate them. Yes, awesome. I'm hoping I can help you today because I really, really do love our classroom jobs. And while it may seem like a chore to some, I really adore them because of the benefits that they hold. So thanks again for joining. I want to go ahead and get started, and I would like to start with the why. So welcome again. If you're just joining us, welcome to our free training on classroom jobs, a job for every student every day. And this is what I do in my pre-K classroom, and I really love it. So the why. So I make sure that I have a job for every student because I really love the responsibility side of it and the classroom community side. That's probably the bigger side. I love everybody buying into the fact that this is our classroom, we all take care of it, but I also really, really love how it builds relationships. And some of my jobs that I've come up with also help with skill building. So that's a bonus as well. Also to note, some of my jobs are done during circle time. So I find that that is super fun because it takes their job and puts it in a time frame so that we make sure to get it done, because otherwise it's kind of hard to get it done. So I had about 20 jobs to choose from. I didn't do all those at one time, but I had about 20 that I could choose from, pick and choose. And sometimes it depends every year on kind of which kiddos I have and what jobs they really love. But I actually added some more. So I have now for myself 30 choices of jobs that we can do throughout the year. And one thing to note is I have about roughly 10 kids in my class every year. So obviously incorporating jobs for 10 children is a little bit easier. But I've also seen it done in classrooms of 20 because you have 2 adults as well. So, and at least I hope you do. So, not only do I give everybody a job every day, I make sure to change out these jobs throughout the year. And I'll kind of talk about that as I go through the jobs. So basically what I want to do is just kind of show you how I organize my job chart, show you the different jobs that we do to maybe give you some ideas for jobs that you could do in your classroom as well. Some of them are pretty simple. Most people have them, and then other ones might be new to you that focus on a skill or focus on really trying to create those relationships. So Melanie says, I do a job a week and they get a chance to learn what it is and practice some of it. Yeah, that's another option, doing them. You get this job this whole week. You need to find what works best for you. My students only come Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So in order to get through some of the jobs, we have to do them. I like to do them daily just so that they can get through them. And of course, there's a learning curve at the beginning with everything else in your classroom on what the jobs are, what the icons mean on the job chart and things like that. So there's still a lot of training involved, but you find like, a couple of months in, some students already have it down and they can help others with their job, but I'll kind of talk more about that in just a little bit. So I wanted to show you a picture of my pocket chart. I just like to keep it real simple, and I just put my jobs in here. Like I said, I got 10 students, so I've got my jobs in here, and then I put a name card next to it, their name card. And so when I go to switch them out at the end of the day, I just take the bottom one where the survey taker is, I take that out, shift everybody down, and then the survey taker goes to the top for the greeter. And it's funny because they've actually figured that out. So they know what they'll be the next day because they figured out how I go through them, which is kind of fun. And then also I wanted to point out that if a student is absent, I usually just do that job myself or elect someone else to do it, or we just don't do it depending on what it is. But if it's something that is important to our circle time or like the line leader and such, I may go ahead and choose that person. Or if it's like the door holder, the light helper, I just do that myself. So these were jobs we had at the very beginning of the year. And so actually, no, I take that back. I must have taken this picture not too long ago because we have the news reporter in there. So it actually was probably more like January-ish now that I'm looking at it. So there are different jobs that I like to put in different times of the year. And again, I'll go into that in just a little bit. But some of them are more complex than others, so I definitely don't want to put those at the beginning of the year. And then sometimes they get kind of done with a job. The well-wisher job is one of those that sometimes we do for a while, and then we stop and I switch that one out. But then there's also jobs I don't switch out, like the line leader I don't switch out. I don't switch out calendar because we do that every day at circle time and things like that. So this is kind of my easy breezy chart there that I keep up. And then I wanted to show you a picture. This is some of the things that I use. I was trying to find a picture of my wands that we use for well-wisher, and I'll talk about that, but you can kind of see them at the top of the picture. That's the best picture I could find, and they're all packed away at school, so that was kind of hard. But the greeter apron is there. We're going to talk about that. There's some song rings that I love to use for the song leader. This little bag down here is something we use for the mystery bag, which is a fun job. And then, we've got just some other random things in here. So I just wanted to show you that, to give you an idea of some of the things that we use, especially when we're at the carpet area. So the very first job I'd like to talk about is probably my absolute favorite, and it's the greeter. And I just love the greeter job. I've seen a lot of people doing the greetings at the door for their students, and that is so awesome. I absolutely love it. We actually do it with a student. So instead of the teacher greeting them, it's the children are greeting each other. So let me show you. Here is our apron. And so at the beginning of circle time, everybody comes and sits down, and the greeter puts on their apron. And this is just an apron from the Dollar Tree. And I think I ironed on these letters or something. This is super old. And I added some Velcro on it. So I can basically take these greetings off and change them out. I had just a couple greetings, and I had to add some more because of social distancing. And so now I have some that are more appropriate for the world we're living in right now, like non-contact greetings, smiling, you can see them, smiling, waving, making a silly face, winking. I also have say hello. That's one. Do a happy dance together. That could be a non-contact. Elbow bump. We were being told to do that for a while. Then this one, these are more of my contact ones. So this is what we did before. Maybe, hopefully, something we'll be able to do later, which is buzz, where they go bzzz, and they think it's hilarious. That's usually a favorite. High five, hug, fist bump. and handshake. So those are the options I have, but as you can see, I obviously do not put them all on the greeter apron at one time. At the beginning of the year, I may start with like 1 or 2, and so they can get used to doing the greeter apron yet. And so they put that on, and they go to each student and say, how would you like to be greeted today? And they choose one of the options. If I have a student that maybe isn't in the best mood or isn't ready to start the day, they can say, no, thank you. And then the greeter passes them on. And they do this while we're singing our Welcome to Preschool song. So I adored this because it's building those relationships. They're interacting one-on-one with every student so that no one feels left out. Everyone's getting a turn, and they're taking a turn with every child. So that part about it I love, and I love the social side of that. So we do that every morning, and I model it at the beginning of the year, so I put it on, and I do it several times through before I assign this job to anyone so that they know what it looks like and what it sounds like. So there's that. And then also I've tried to switch this out with a different job because I thought, oh, they've got the hang of it, and they weren't having any of it. They wanted it back. So I brought it back. And so we do it every day. The next one is the survey taker. And this one, it kind of replaces the whole question of the day idea. And I've tried the question of the day, and I wasn't very good about making sure that all the students did it. And so I basically needed someone to do it. And I also love that they're making their own marks on this. So let me show you a picture here. Right here. Oh, and I did not show you a picture of somebody wearing the greeter apron here. They're doing high fives, and they absolutely love that time. Okay. Oh, sorry. Wrong picture. Okay. There is the surveys. So I have these surveys already done, black and white, and I tell them what they say, and they go around with each student and they ask them, do you help cook? Yes or no? And then they make their own marks in the boxes. So instead of just them answering the question, they're actually starting to collect the data themselves. And again, this is not something I do at the beginning of the year. This is more late year. But I love it because it's interesting to see how their brain takes the data. You know, for adults, it might be tally marks, check marks, things like that. And for them, sometimes it's pictures or just like a coloring in. And it's very interesting to see how they came up with it. And so after they ask every student and they're finished with it, they put it over by the circle time area. And then during circle time, we go over it and look, compare which had the most, which had the least, all those different things. And there's different surveys that I like to do. There's yes and no. There's 3 options, and then like a 4 option one. But I found that I actually like this more because they're having that social interaction and they're collecting the data themselves. And so that becomes their survey that they took. And so they can take it home if they choose to and share those survey results at home with their family. Okay, the next one is the well-wisher. And again, I don't have my little wands, but the well-wisher basically goes around the circle time rug. So we do this during circle time, and they wish everyone a good day. And so I really like to do this at the beginning of the year because they are learning each other's names. And so I can kind of give them the words, oh, have a good day. Dylan, have a good day. They say each other's names. So they're going around and they're waving the wand above their head. And so I really have to train, we're not going to hit them with it. We're just doing it above their head. And so many times I obviously model it first, and then I go around with them, kind of helping them hold their hand and say the child's name, because it's so funny that, you'd think they would pick up on their names more quickly, but with a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, sometimes they play with this kiddo and they're not even really sure of their name. And so this is one way to bridge that gap and really just create that atmosphere of, I'm wishing you a good day and we're all going to have a great day. So that's the well-wisher. And this is the one that I do definitely at the beginning of the year. And then it's one that I'll take out to switch out with a different job. And then pretty simple, we have a lunch helper. Our lunch helper, we have like a basket of that we keep all our lunches in. My kiddos bring their lunch, so that lunch helper can help unpack them and put them on the table, things like that. You can kind of use that however you want. You may have already had one of those. Light helpers are pretty self-explanatory. They turn off the light when you go out the door. This is always a favorite because kids love to turn on and off the light. The supply helper, this one I have used if I ever need to get out supplies, and they can help me even like when we're doing small group, that maybe that supply helper can get out the supplies that we need for that specific game or activity. Weather, and I have a picture of this one for you too, if I can find it here. Here it is. So the weather watcher not only watches the weather, but they also graph it. So we have this graph that you can see on the screen here hanging in our circle time area, and I put a month on it. And so every day they go look out the window and we sing the weather watcher song, and then they come back and they decide which one it is and they color in one box. And so as we go throughout the month, we can start comparing again. Look, we've had this many sunny days and we haven't had a rainy day while we were at preschool, and we can compare those numbers. So taking that weather job and not only making it something where they're observing the weather, but also coming back and graphing so they can compare it. And I love when we get almost to the end and they're like, which one's gonna win? Is it cloudy? Is it sunny? So that's been something I really, really like. So I have a question about what time of the day do you do the well-wisher? So basically when we all sit down for circle time, I have the greeter greet everyone, and then the well-wisher comes right behind them and wishes everyone a good day. You could really stick it in anywhere. You could, if your students arrive at the same time, you could have that well-wisher at the door wishing everyone a good day. It's really up to you and what fits best for you. My students kind of come in here and there. We have a start time, but they're not always right there on time. And so I found that I couldn't actually do any greeter, well-wisher at that time, if that makes sense. The next one is the news reporter, and I also have a picture of this one for you. Nope, not that one. So I don't do this one until later in the year, but I really like the aspect that it brings as far as shared writing and modeled writing, because I take this news report and the person who's the news reporter gets to tell us what's been going on at their house. And so I scribe it basically as they say it, very simply, and they watch me write it. And I wasn't sure how this would go over the first time I tried it, but they were very intrigued because I was taking the letters and going, oh, you played outside, play, and then they're like, P. And so I'd write that P. And then, crazy enough, we were talking about even punctuation because they see me writing it and they want to know what that dot is. And so we talk about what that dot means or what that exclamation mark means. And so it's really just opening that door to what this helper said is now on the paper. And so that one's been a fun one. And I keep this one in the chart till everyone's basically had a turn at being the news reporter. And I've got like a blow up microphone, which makes it super fun so that you can interview them. But really big benefits with this one because you start seeing some of the things that we do in this whole group time of me modeling the writing to them writing in the writing center. Like they're magically adding periods because they have learned kind of that's something you do when you write. So this one's been really, really helpful in that sense. Okay, the next one is the estimation jar, and I do not do this one till the end of the year. This is not the easiest of skills, but I still really like it. And so basically I fill up like a little jar with objects, counters, little bears, whatnot, and everybody takes a turn. And so the estimation helper, basically their job is to take it around to everyone. And then we together, and this is something I really have to do with them, and it's not as easy for them to do by themselves because the estimation helper gets to take the jar around and say, how many do you think are in here? And then I help them record that number. And usually what I do is I take Post-it notes and I put each child's name on it and then the number that they guessed. And if the estimation helper can write that number, then they'll help me write that number. If not, then, I'm there to help them. But then during circle time, so everybody's made their guess. So the estimation helper has helped carry it around. We come back to the circle time, and the estimation helper is going to be the one who counts them. But before we count them, I take the Post-it notes off and I stick them on our number chart. So if you guessed 8, I'm going to stick your Post-it on the 8. So we put all of our Post-it notes up there, and then we count them. So the estimation helper counts them for us, and then we see how close we were. And so we can see by, oh, it was 9. Look, here's the 9. Look who was the closest. And that really gives them a visual of, oh yeah, so-and-so with the 8 was the closest. Yes. So they were the closest to estimating, making that guess. And so we talk about that. And that has been something that I have been absolutely amazed by. This last year, I didn't get to do it because, lovely COVID. But in past years, I've been just amazed at how some of them will try to count inside the jar, how they'll kind of just pull a number out of a hat. You can kind of see their brains are working. It's pretty cool. So that one is also one where you're bringing in a skill, which is awesome. Okay, I have another question. Do you change jobs daily? My students change jobs daily, but when I go to changing out like the actual jobs, like this news reporter one, estimation one, I don't change those out every day. I only change them out, maybe 3 times a year, 4 times a year, when I kind of notice that, hey, we might be able to take this job out because we're kind of done with it and try a new one. So I hope that answers your question. And then, of course, the amazing line leader, right? Who doesn't want to be the line leader? That one's at the top of the chart because it's the coolest. And then we also have calendar helper. And I still do calendar at circle time. I know that some don't like it. They think it's a big no-no. Kids don't understand the concept of days. And I totally agree. They don't necessarily understand the concept of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. But what I do love about it is the fact that they are counting daily, and they are doing the left to right back sweep when they count on a calendar. So on this calendar picture, when they get to 7, they're going to have to sweep over to 8. And that is a reading skill. And that is a skill that a lot of my children do not understand. And so by doing the calendar daily, we're starting to figure that out. And then also I use calendar cards that are patterning. And so we're also working on patterning. And then at the top where there's the days of the week, I have home days and school days, so they can kind of start seeing that. I also like to mark, like you can kind of see in this picture, there's a birthday coming up, so we count how many days till the birthday. So there's a lot of things going on in here. One we don't do is yesterday, today, and tomorrow, because I truly don't feel that they're quite ready for that. And, we talk about the months of the year, but we talk about them in the concept of what happens during that month, because that's what's important to them. And then we talk about days of the week too, like, because I'll have kiddos that are like, oh, the S days we stay home. Yes, the S days we stay home. And so they're starting to kind of get into that. So really, I just use it as a tool of exposure and not necessarily wanting mastery of knowing the days of the week, the months of the year, how to use a calendar type of thing, but more of an exposure vehicle. And so the calendar helper goes through and helps me count, basically. They help me go 1, 2 while they're pointing and everybody's counting. And then they can also help me with the pattern and to see if they got that pattern right. So that's something that I will stick with because I have seen how many benefits have come from just that small time during the day. Okay, the next one is door holder. That one's pretty self-explanatory. They hold the door when we go out to the playground, usually is what we do. Attendance, this one is kind of fun too. They can mark who's here, who's not here. This also is kind of more of a community building thing because we can talk about so-and-so being gone, and we're at a Christian preschool, so we can pray for that person if they're gone or if they're sick or they're ill, because they do want to know where their friends are when they're not there, and they want to know if they're okay. So attendance is kind of a jumping start to that conversation. And then this is another favorite, the bell ringer. Basically, the bell ringer's job is to ring the bell when it's cleanup time. And so I couldn't find like the traditional bell that I was looking for, so we actually just use a triangle. which has been really interesting because they want to grab the actual triangle and then try to hit it and make it make noise, and that doesn't work. And so showing them how that instrument works has also been kind of fun. So if you've got a triangle laying around, that's a great one. But basically when this bell rings, I start singing the cleanup song, and then we all start cleaning up. And this is a favorite one because who doesn't like to make music and noise? The song leader, this one they love too. At the end of the day, we all usually come back together, and I will do one story time and a song, and the song leader gets to choose that song. And I have the rings. I think here, let me show you the picture of it again. You can kind of see the song of month rings and things like that. Those they can choose a song from that, or a song that they know, or a Jesus song, or whatever. And so they get to choose the song that we sing. And I had one last year that just loved the tootie-ta, so I was doing the tootie-ta every time he was the song leader for sure. And then flag holder, if you still do that in your classroom, this is not one that I have done recently. I found that we weren't required to do it, and it really was something that they didn't quite understand yet. And I knew that they would be memorizing it in kindergarten, so it's not something I put a lot of time into. But if you want to do the pledge and you want to hold the flag up, that's always an option. And then mystery bag. This one's fun. This one I don't do till mid-late year, but basically what I do is, and this one takes a little bit of prep, and so kind of have to think about that. But when you are the mystery bag, you get to fill up a bag, and I like to use a small bag because you never know what's going to come in. It has to fit in the bag. And I give them this paper, and it explains it to parents. So it says, parents, please help your child fill the mystery bag with one item, in the bag. So if it doesn't fit, don't bring it. And then think of 3 clues to help the class guess the item. And then they write the clues below. So this takes a little planning on my part. So if you are the mystery bag, that's when we're going to actually guess what's in your bag. So I have to get it sent out beforehand. This is one of those ones from Target. I actually need more, so I'm hoping they have some more. But so basically when it's done and the parents have sent this back and they've got their bag, they bring it to circle time and we go, okay, what do we think's in it? And so they give the first clue. It has wheels. Okay. And so everybody starts guessing. Oh, can't be a bird. It can't be an animal. It has to be something that goes. And then they give another clue. It also has wings. Okay. So if it has wheels and wings, so they just keep going. And so after the 3 clues, we have to decide what we think is inside of there. And it's been very interesting to watch because usually when there's one clue, they can make some really good guesses. But then when there's the second clue and they have to put those 2 together, it kind of gets mumbled. And so this has been a very great activity for them to have to use all the clues given and all the pieces of information given and make a logical guess. So that one's pretty fun. And plus, I use it in place of show and tell. I use it in place of show and tell because I like the idea of doing something a little bit more meaningful with it. So that is the mystery bag. And then this one is new this year. I had wanted to do this last year and I never got around to making it, so I made sure that I made it this summer so I could use it. And it's the kindness counter. And so here is, can you see that? Here's what it looks like. And so basically these little smileys have the Velcro on them. And so my plan is to hang this on the wall, and the kindness counter is going to add a smiley every time we see something kind. So if I say, oh my goodness, look, I saw being kind, then the kindness recorder will come up and put a smiley face on. So all these will be off and in like a little bucket or something. But then at the end of the day, when we're doing our songs and our stories, we can count how many acts of kindness we saw that day. So really just kind of encouraging kindness in our classrooms. So that's the kindness counter. And then the reader, again, at the end of the year, end of the day, we like to read a story and we like to sing a song. And so the reader gets to choose the book from the library that we're going to read. So caboose, giving everyone a chance to be at the end of the line, the place no one wants to be. But when you make it a job, it's kind of cool. And then everyone has to have a turn to be at the end. So that's an option, especially for at the beginning of the year. And their job is to make sure that everybody is with us and no one strays. Snack helper, this could be whether they're helping you set out napkins, whether they're helping divvy out snack, whether they're helping clean up snack. Lots of different options with that one. And then I added the sweeper, and I plan on, because under our sensory table always gets messy, and I always wish I would have done this. And so we're going to have like the little broom and the little dustpan so that they can sweep up the mess themselves. And then the recess helper can bring out any of the balls, any of the equipment that you use for when you're playing outside. We also have like a backpack that's got first aid stuff in it that we take with us, and it's little child size, so they wear that and bring anything out that we might want to play with that day. The cleaner is just my general, like, I really needed someone at the end of center time just to kind of like look at everything and see, like, did we get all the trash off the tables? Did we get all the, things put away off the table? So this is them. Pet vet, I added this. We probably won't be getting a pet, but I added it just in case. So the pet vet would take care of the pet. I've thought about getting like a pretend pet, like a stuffed animal or something. Tell me if you do that, because I would be interested in that. And the librarian cleans up all the books. We have one of the front-facing bookshelves where you just like put the book in, you know what I'm saying, and they all face you. Well, they obviously all come tumbling out anytime someone touches them, and so the librarian is going to put all those back in there for us and make sure they're nice and neat. The gardener, something I want to do this year is incorporate more plants so they can take care of our plant, which would be fun. The exercise expert could be in charge of leading us through exercises, doing yoga, maybe some exercises to build muscles for us to use for fine motor. I've kind of I saw training on this, so there's some more I want to do with this. But the exercise expert, and then the prayer leader if you are in a faith-based setting, and the goodbye wisher. So this is one I wanted to do all last year, and I never got around to it. I hope you can relate to always wanting to do something and never getting around to it. So basically what I wanted to do was, like, I always wanted to say, see you later, alligator, but then like I couldn't think of anything else, and I couldn't think of it off the top of my head. So I went ahead and created these so that I could remember, and then I could make it a job, and that person could do it too. So my plan is I'm going to take these different goodbye sayings and not use all of them, but put some of them up on the wall or by the door. And so as they go out, they can choose which one they want to do, because it also includes an action. So like this one is out the door, dinosaur, and they would stomp their feet out the door like a dino. And we could do it together, right? I could stomp my feet and they could stomp their feet right out the door. Give a hug, ladybug. So obviously this one is going to be after COVID, hopefully here. And then Tulu, kangaroo, and they can hop out the door. So my plan is to only put a couple of these up and then change them out as they get kind of over them and they can kind of see new ones. But just another relationship building thing here as we're saying goodbye. See you soon, silly raccoon. Make a silly face. So they all have actions with them. Take a leap, little sheep. Leap out the door. Time to squirm, little worm. Wiggle like a worm. Till then, penguin. Waddle like a penguin. Better shake, little snake. And they're going to slither out the door. Hit the road, little toad. Hop like a toad. Blow a kiss, little fish. And you blow a kiss. See you later, alligator. And do snapping. And bye-bye, butterfly. And they can pretend to fly. So I'm very excited about putting those in because I think they're going to absolutely love them. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know and I can hopefully get to those. Mary Ellen says, my exercise person rolls 2 different dice with numbers. One with numbers, one with different exercise. Ooh, and they do it They do it 3 times and the number changes due to the time of year. Love that, Mary Ellen. Ooh, might have to do that one. I love that. Jennifer says, I have a class pet. I do a peacock theme in my classroom, so we have Pip the peacock. So cute. He goes home twice with each student. Yes, and he watches over everything during the day. He leaves a morning message for us. Oh, that is fun. I want to do that. I think I'm going to do that. I've just got to figure out what my class pet's going to be, because that's super fun. And then they could maybe help take care of it in one way or another. Have to figure that out still. But yeah, love that idea. Okay, any other questions here? I do not see any other questions. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. And if you're looking for any of these principles, they're all in my, I put together classroom jobs packet, and I've had it for a while, but I just recently updated it, added COVID okay greetings, added these out the door things, added the kindness helper. And so giving myself more options. And so I also wanted to offer that to you. Oh, here's a question. How would you handle kids who are present 3 of the 5 days and will miss a job if you change it? Yeah, that's just the beast, right? And we always hate that. And me and my co-teacher actually would talk about that all the time. It's kind of like she had that situation, and it was like, do I save this for them? But again, they're coming only 3 of the 5 days, and there's nothing you can do about that. And so we would talk about that a lot, about how it really stinks, but it is what it is. And so maybe if you find that they keep getting the same job because of the way it rotates, maybe changing that up a little bit, but I would just keep moving them down, and when they're not there, they're not there. And that's the way I would probably handle it, because there's not much you can do about it. That probably doesn't help a whole lot, does it? So, oh, I missed the beginning. Yes, you can go watch. Yes, I will have that. This will be under the videos tab in the Lovely Commotion Facebook page. So you can definitely go and watch it again if you're wanting to write down some job ideas. So if there's not any more questions, I just want to thank you for joining me. This was kind of a long one, but I hope you were able to get some ideas for your classroom and see that maybe classroom jobs can be more than just the busy work of keeping up a classroom clean, but also bringing in some relationship building, social emotional relationships, and also just some of the skills that you could do too. So thanks again for joining me. Bye-bye, guys.